Warning: the following podcast contains strong language, may contain sensitive topics, personal opinions, and satirical comedic elements. Viewer discretion is advised.
Baby, how far along are you?
Council, I'm just starting the recording now, considering that.
Yeah, and do that.
There we go. God, how bright is that light?
Jake, right?
Wow. I can do that too, watch. Hold on.
There's a plate on my bed.
The light just like called you out on that plate.
No, look at my bed. It's pretty messy. It also was Palm Sunday, so I have palm leaves on my bed too.
What the fuck is Palm Sunday, bro?
Oh,
Hang on,
You
don't
said that
answer
like
that
that's
yet.
a known thing.
Exactly.
do this. It's a known religious thing.
That was
Oh,
not-
I can't do the code opening after you saying that.
Now recording.
Yes, you can.
We
Oh,
gotta,
brother.
no, I can't. I gotta wait. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the all right, bro, Q, what the fuck is Palm Sunday and why do you have palm leaves in your fucking house?
Whoa.
That's the same palm I remember for Palm Sunday.
Palm
I feel like there's an
Sunday
S in that palm.
is the feast that commemorates Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem.
Hosanna.
Jerusalem.
The English hard, man. English hard.
English
hard.
English hard.
Okay, it's the
Do you
first
speak
day in
French?
Holy Week, also
Fuck French.
leading up to Easter.
Oh, isn't Easter next week?
Yeah.
Next
Sunday.
Sunday.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
You
well,
are
I'll make sure to be
correct.
sacrilegious all week.
Wow.
Jake, you can't. Don't do it, Jake.
I can do whatever.
Don't
I can do
fall
whatever
for
I
it.
fucking want.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna eat these. I'm gonna eat these pigs in a blanket.
You can't be eating
Yeah.
meat, man. That's crazy. It's bad. No, not the piggies.
Oh, well,
Oh.
Editor's no
it's
get a
like-
close up of Jake eating that. Just zoom in on the fucking mouth.
I need a hot dog real bad.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, me.
Welcome back to the
I don't
Internet
see a
Bum
slash
Show.
through that, bro. I don't see a
No.
slash through that. So
I have one with the slash, but I don't like wearing it. I like repping it.
no, bro. You gotta wear the one with the slash. That's the only
No
way to
rogue
go.
ninja,
Yeah.
bro.
He was known in Carolina as the black dude that wears the fucking thing.
So you gotta know the background story to this history. So, college. I would wear this all the time in my lectures, going out to the parties, at the frat parties, everything. I had this on. So this headband has seen things. It's seen a
Okay.
lot of things. So yeah, I got known as the Black Okage.
That's crazy.
And so yeah, everyone knows me just by this headband.
Okay.
They're like, there goes Q, the black Hokage.
Or Black Naruto. Take your pick.
Welcome back to the Internet Bum Show. Tonight I am joined by AJ, Mike, Jake, and Q, or Kabir,
You
or
point if they
Quinzel.
can't see that.
What about it?
Yeah, and that's not the same order.
Well,
like-
I mean,
That means usually the way you're here.
it's the first podcast recording with the brand new semi-used setup, so I mean, I'm just big chilling here.
He's big chillin'.
Bring chillin'.
So, we had to skip a week because of some people being sick, some people being unavailable. So, gentlemen, how have you been? And while we're at it, Q, how was your Christmas and New Year since you weren't available for the last episode we did?
Yeah.
I went to DC.
Hi.
It was great.
I'm Steve.
Fucking
yeah.
I hate you.
This is like a round robin.
Turn that shit off.
Wait. Since we're doing
Let-
this, wait,
let
I have one.
Weber
I
talk.
have one- I wanna play one.
You guys don't possess the BBC genes.
Bro, what?
What the is happening?
Wait, there's another one that goes
Mike-
with it. Wait.
Mike is having a goddamn an episode right now.
I hit one button. That was all the rest of other people.
You know, BBC.
It's not
Oh
me.
God, here we go with the BBC shit.
The BBC was
You guys
Quinzel.
don't possess the BBC gene.
All right, let's keep it going.
The BBC.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's never do that again.
No
I never want to hear the
kidding.
BBC torpedo ever again.
What the
No
fuck?
BBC equals anger.
I don't want to see the BBC torpedo ever again. Please, please and thanks.
Are you sure?
Jake, you've never seen the BBC torpedo. You can. If
Oh,
you
trust me,
wanna see
I have seen the BBC, but let's keep moving. Let's keep moving on.
You seen a BBC before?
it. Yeah,
Yes.
let's back up on this.
We
Oh,
don't
God.
need to back up on it,
no,
bro.
no. I need to know.
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
What do you
lore.
mean, bro? It's fucking. What's the lore, bro? Like I've
Yeah,
seen
what's the lore, man?
I've
The
seen
BBC.
BBW. I used to watch BBWs, bro, when I was younger. Of course, I've seen BBCs, bro. I love me some big black women. What now?
Mhm.
I thought it was supposed to be big, beautiful women.
Oh,
No.
maybe in your realm it is,
No.
but in my realm, it's big black women, and I love it.
Yeah.
I can see I could see Jake with a big black woman on his.
You call me
head.
Jack?
Yeah, I did. I was thinking of my friend Jack when I said this. Okay.
Oh Jesus, yeah, no, dude, I love me some black women. But nothing beats the tortas. You feel me?
Yeah.
I am a torta pounder, perchance.
Perchance.
You are a quarter pounder. You're built like.
God damn.
You're talking about how people are built, Q? You're talking about how people are built, Q? Stand up. Stand up,
You
Q.
Damn.
like a quarter pounder like you are.
Stand up.
I just got a big head. I'm not standing up.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
bro.
stand the fuck up. I got pictures of you
Call
saved
him
on my
out.
phone, motherfucker. I'll put you on blast right now.
Daddy, I need you to chill right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what you look like, bro. You look like the daddy chill guy.
No.
Yeah, get fucked.
No.
He's bullying me.
You deserve it.
Okay, that's his podcast.
Oh, what the fuck was that?
I want to state for the record that tonight's episode is officially named Yeah Now.
Yeah, not I'm jaking it, whatever the fuck that was.
I'm joking it.
That scares the fuck
Sponsored
out of
by
me, bro.
leather sauce.
What? Okay. Dip your tongue in it. Oh, Kelters? Alright. Let's keep
this.
this.
Nether sauce. It's because of the Minecraft movie.
Minecraft.
Okay.
I bought
Let's
it
keep
3 times. 3 times, and I haven't got the grimace. I've gotten everything else, but the grimace.
I don't think it's real, bro. People have said they don't think it's real. I've never seen it. I don't.
That's the only
it
one
doesn't
I've
exist.
seen. I have not seen the others on like social media. That's
This does exist. I've seen it.
On the internet, right? So it's
As
real.
he goes
that's real.
full evil.
I've seen it. It's real.
It does exist.
I've seen it on the internet. Therefore, it's real.
It's not real.
Maybe. All right, let's move it along, boys. What do we got on the docket today?
So, at the end of the year special, we briefly touched on people hating the Spotify wrapped ups because of the stupid notebook LM shit. And we briefly used it a little bit for the last episode with the cultist shit. And we also talked about how it gets a lot of things wrong if you ask it to do the audio overview of whatever topic and sources you're giving it. Such as an example, Beauchamp, the guy that Jake had to manhandle and save me from in high school. It tried to say that he was a main cast member, despite being mentioned in passing only 2 times across 35 episodes. So, as kind of an easy, lighthearted night, I thought I would have it give us 3 different audio overviews. I thought about maybe trying to put together some kind of like bingo or drinking game, but I just don't see that being a viable option in 5 different locations.
That would work.
So I have SyncTube open, and I figured what we can do is I could just go ahead and throw the first one in there.
Do you need me to share the video
I'm-
on the recording or just?
It's just a black screen. We just need to be able to listen to it.
Okay,
What
gotcha.
you mean black screen?
God damn it.
Exactly what I say. It's a fucking black screen. I'm not going to elaborate further.
Racist.
Oh wait, no, there's 4 of them. That's
Racist.
right.
4
It's all
black
black.
screens.
4 black
Yes.
screens.
Call the cops. They're congregating. All right.
Oh no.
All right.
Same.
So in the sync tube, we're all in here.
Oh, no.
Wait, what? Hang on, no. So
Uh-oh.
in the sync tube chat here, real quick, we have I like sucking, I
What?
like fucking, Jake gay, Jake like black men, up his ass, suck me from the back.
Well,
I hate white folks and say.
And of course, flexible ape is the one that said they hate white folks. That's fucking what a name. What a fucking name, man. Oh my god.
Auto-generated by sync too, by the way.
Yeah, they knew, man. They knew. They were like, you know what? This guy right here hates white people. Let's name him ape for some reason. Fucking goofy.
All right, I am posting. So
I'm flexible ape.
No, you're
the
not.
way that the Notebook LM audio overview works is you give it the sources like you would for any Notebook LM project, and then you can tell it to just generate a generic one, or you can give it some parameters to focus on, and it will try to explain those as best it can. So for each of the parameters, I gave it cast members, episode development, as in how the show develops and gets better with each episode. Topics like the topics we've covered in various episodes, and then narrative as if the series was a linear story and was told with each passing episode. Here is the first one. It is cast members.
And today's a little different.
Oh.
Yeah, so instead of like a specific topic or event, we're diving into the people.
The people.
Yeah, the people behind the Internet Bum Show, right?
Oh, interesting.
You gave us this collection.
I should also say it's going to get a lot of things hilariously wrong, like talking about how we have hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
That's pretty
Factually
cool.
incorrect.
Maybe to
Of
your
transcripts and a
Omegobi
dossier,
we do.
and it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It gives us a glimpse into these guys, Christian, AJ, and Mike, and
Yeah.
even some of the other folks who pop up, like Angel, Justice, Thomas, Jake.
Okay.
Our mission today is to really explore their time on the show and
Oh.
understand like the significance, big or small, that they have
I see. Yeah.
within the
I
series.
also like
Within the
AJ
series
with like a
overall.
bass boost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
wow.
So to start off, I mean, Christian he's right there in the center of it all, right?
He is. Yeah. Yeah.
Hosting, initiating like most of the conversations.
Yeah.
So what
That
jumps
sounds
out
like
at
me.
you about his role when you look at all this material?
Well, I think, looking at all this, it's hard to imagine the Internet Bum Show existing without Christian.
Right.
At the helm, I mean, we see him actively shaping the episodes,
Yeah.
the mentions of outlines. He handles all the technical stuff.
Right.
He's the one reaching out to bring in other voices.
Right.
It really
The
suggests this.
glaze is real.
It's
I
like
feel he's very
This man-
moist right now.
this man dead ass typed in Notebook LM, please suck my dick as hard as you can.
What are the
Please.
crew?
I'm
Let me
begging
release,
you.
please. What a relief.
So I remember thinking, because I listened to all of these before I upload them to the footage dump. For the record, the only way I could have any technicality of bringing more people in than Jake is because I brought the original three together. Mike, Jake, and AJ would not know each other were it not for me. But as far as main cast members versus guests, like Q, for example, Jake has brought in more guests.
Vision, like he's driving this thing.
Right.
What about for you? Like, how do you think his presence, being there all the time, being the organizer,
Yeah.
how does that shape the listening experience for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. It definitely feels like he sets the tone, right?
Wow.
Like he's the anchor and everything kind of revolves around him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting too because it's not just this show.
Right.
He's got CAMJ Entertainment, the YouTube videos, all of that.
Oh yeah.
It paints a picture.
Same thing.
This
It's the same
podcast
thing.
is on CAMJ.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, but okay.
And while they are in the works, we have not uploaded a fucking gaming video in more than a year, so I don't know where it gets that either, especially because those gaming videos are not used as sources here.
Someone who's really invested in creating content and building a community, which
I should also say the way that Notebook LM, to my understanding, pulls information from YouTube videos is that it uses speech recognition to build a transcript of sorts. So if it can understand each word that we are saying, such as the words we are saying versus, man, that's some bitch over there, oh my god, I just don't fucking know. It may get some things wrong because of that, because it simply cannot understand us.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
It is.
For chance.
It
Yeah.
is. And when you look at, you know, the length of time he's been connected with AJ and Mike,
Yeah.
knowing Mike since 2016,
Wow.
all that shared history, those gaming communities like Payday 2 and GTA 5,
Right.
that kind of
I
pre-existing
love the
bond.
wow, how it's
Wow.
like, that's so unbelievable to know somebody for fucking 6 years.
Yeah.
I also want to say I do
I
not
guess it's like
like
8
the
years, but
I don't like the way it excludes Jake from the primary cast because he is primary cast. I think the reason it did that is because for like the first 8 episodes, it was just me, AJ, and Mike. So because of that, it's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
it's okay. I'm
gotta
used to being
contribute
left
to the
out.
Yeah.
It's
on-air
fine.
chemistry, don't you think? It's not like they just met
Yeah.
and decided to do a show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something more than that.
Oh, for sure. And that story about how he and Mike first met. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wild. This whole chain of online acquaintances
Right.
leading up to this, this
Friend
memorable
of a friend.
hand job anecdote.
It's quite the
What?
foundation, isn't it?
It is. It's a
That's so left field.
So this is actually kind of great that Q's here because in the quiz episode, I asked what was the alleged story of how I met all my friends.
Yep.
I was explaining it. I met Mike through a handful of people, and this is in the pilot episode, so 2 years ago. AJ says, I'm so glad you said handful because I thought you were about to say I met him and it was through a hand job. So it just for that episode and like a couple after, it became a running joke that I met my friends just by jerking them off.
Sounds about right. I was
very,
there.
very
He jerks
unusual
off all his
foundation for a
friends.
working relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you make of a detail like that? Like, does it tell us anything about the show's vibe overall?
Well, I think what's fascinating about that is that unexpected and kind of informal beginning
Right.
probably really sets the tone, right? You know,
Right.
it says something about a level of comfort
Right.
and a willingness to be unconventional right from the start.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't some, you know, corporate
Yeah.
meeting.
Right. Sterile.
Yeah, sterile environment.
Internet Bum Show industry play confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
This was conceived.
Right.
This grew out of a genuine, however quirky connection.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not just about those relationships either. It's about how Christian actively tries different things with the show itself.
Yeah.
He's the one developing the segments, introducing them.
Right.
Some of them become like staples, like catastrophic wingmen. Can you smash that? Flights of fancy. But then others, like miking up the news, they're shorter. Like they don't last as long. But that constant experimentation, that's got to be key.
I think that willingness to innovate and see what resonates with the audience is a hallmark of someone who's really dedicated to keeping things fresh. It suggests a responsiveness, even if not every idea works out perfectly.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, like, when you're listening, do you notice when segments change?
Yeah.
Does that evolution impact your enjoyment of the show?
Yeah, I think so. I think it shows that they're not afraid to try new things, and it keeps me guessing a bit. And it's not all smooth sailing for Christian either.
Oh, right.
The Roast of Christian Perkins episode.
Oh yeah.
Where they dig up all those old social media posts.
I remember that.
That takes a certain willingness to be the target of the humor, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Being able to laugh at yourself, or at least be laughed at,
right,
can be a really powerful way to.
Oh, dude, I hope they talk about the episode.
It makes you relatable.
Christian knows which episode.
It makes you.
I honestly
I love
cannot
that
remember
episode.
if they
That
did
was
or
the
didn't.
that's the true roasted Christian episode.
Yeah, like for real.
It makes you less like that distant figure behind the mic.
Yay!
It kind of blurs that line a little bit.
Yeah, totally, totally. And you know, we see these little hiccups in the transcripts.
Yeah.
He struggles with links, he forgets details.
Right.
It makes him seem more human, right?
It does.
Not this
Even though my hyper autistic memory makes me remember the most shit.
broadcasting robot.
Right, exactly. It's those moments of vulnerability or imperfection
Yeah.
that I think foster that sense of authenticity. You know,
Right.
it reminds you that these are real people
Yeah.
navigating the technical challenges, the creative challenges
Yeah.
as they go along.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
and his desire to plug the show, to plug the other cast members.
Yeah.
That speaks to a sense of ownership and belief in what they're building together.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
All right,
fair.
so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about AJ.
Okay.
He's been there right from the beginning.
He has.
Consistent co-host in all the early episodes we've got.
Yeah.
He seems pretty crucial to the show's dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Also
I mean,
Cap.
his presence from the start really establishes him.
What the fuck, AJ? What
Go ahead.
the...
Continue.
He's like, nah, fuck that. Just
If anything, I think if you're going to use the logic that they're presenting here, Mike is the most essential because he's been in the most alongside me. I've missed one episode, Mike's missed two. So
Yeah, you missed that
Part
episode. Me and Mike,
of
we
the Internet
killed
Bum
it.
Show.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
And what
Hashtag
immediately
best
stands
episode.
out
Yeah.
is that
Cap.
reputation for
Top
strong
3.
opinions.
Right.
And those unfiltered reactions, like that must be a huge part of the show's comedic energy.
Totally. He
does
doesn't
not
hold
have a
back at
filter.
all, you know?
Remember,
And you get the sense that
what you
Sure.
see.
yeah, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Like that's really how he's thinking. And it's interesting too because they
Facts.
have this recurring segment AJ goes deep.
Oh, right.
So, it
Why
suggests
it sound
that
There's
like
more.
that?
yeah, there's
Deep.
more
On
to
phone
it.
in grave.
AJ go deep.
AJ go deep.
On both my dead grandmas, on everything I love. That's so real.
fucking hell.
These immediate reactions.
Yeah.
He has these in-depth thoughts as well.
Right.
What do you
Cap.
think about that? Like does that balance work?
I think it's a really important balance to have because
Yeah.
it prevents his contributions from being purely reactive.
Right.
Lies.
And it offers a platform for more and more considered perspectives. So it kind of adds layers to his persona on the show.
Okay.
So I'm curious, for you as a listener, does that balance, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes him feel more well-rounded, you know, not just a one-trick pony.
Right.
And then there's
What the fuck
there
you
are all
calling
these
me?
stories about his gaming habits.
Oh yeah, right?
Like they come up a lot.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the porn
His
games.
aggressive playstyle
Stop.
in Streets of Rogue,
Yeah.
the infamous Deep Rock Galactic Freeze incident.
I remember that.
It seems like these are recurring points of reference. It's
Yeah.
like they become
that's
these inside jokes.
Right.
How do you think those shared gaming experiences, like, how do they contribute to the feel of the show?
What's fascinating about that is that those shared experiences, even the frustrating ones,
Yeah.
become part of the show's like internal language.
Right.
It creates these little touchstones
Yeah.
that longtime listeners can
What was the question again?
appreciate and feel a part
Yeah.
of. It builds a sense of shared history
Yeah.
and camaraderie that goes beyond just the three hosts.
Right.
It extends
4
to the
hosts.
audience.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah,
and
it's 4.
and he's part of so many segments.
Oh yeah, he's all over.
Would you
them.
rather rate the Klessy Flights of Fancy where his like
Yeah.
outlandish scenarios or a highlight?
Right, the Klutzy was an episode, not a segment.
He throws himself into whatever they're doing.
And that willingness to fully engage
yeah.
and contribute to all the different kinds of content.
Yeah.
That's essential for keeping a show dynamic.
Yeah.
It prevents
Are
one
these, like,
person or
real
one
white
segment
people
from
doing this, or-
dominating.
Totally. And it's
It
striking
will be.
too
It's AI generated text to speech.
because
Yeah.
right in the
AI
pilot
generated
episode,
white
he's
people.
he's sharing personal stuff, talking about health
AI
issues.
generated white people.
That's a pretty open way to start.
Yeah, that level of vulnerability early on
Yeah.
can be a powerful way to connect with an audience.
Yeah.
It signals a willingness to be authentic,
Right.
to share their lives beyond just the jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And he's got his own Twitch channel too.
Oh, right, Alfred Solidus.
Alfred Solidus,
Yeah.
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 Which he mentions from time to
Right.
time, so he's active
Right.
in that whole world as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting because we see hints of him
Yeah.
being resistant to some segment ideas or some topics. He's not afraid to say no.
Well, and having those contrasting opinions
Right.
and a willingness to push back
Yeah.
can actually lead to more dynamic discussions.
Yeah.
You know, it prevents
Also
things from
cap.
getting too homogenous.
Right. Right.
It encourages a little
Homogenous,
friction.
eh? Hold on,
Right,
pause.
yeah, and
Is
of
that them
course
calling you a
the-
DEI hire? Is that them literally calling you DEI by saying that you just make it non-homogenous? By homogenous meaning of one, and when people talk about things being homogenous, usually they talk about cultures and white people or Asians. I think
know
that
what's
the AI is the AI is racist, Christian. You picked a racist AI.
That would just mean that Google is racist because it was developed by Google.
Oh, yeah, well, it is.
That
good.
wouldn't be
What the
wrong.
fuck is that noise? Google is. I mean, you know.
You know what's funny about you saying that, Jake? The very
You
first
agree?
episode, we had Angel in, and we were talking about him filling AJ's spot. He said that the reason we brought him in particular in was to fill the DI hire.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
So
Now we have another person to fulfill the DEI.
full circle on the Internet Bum Show.
No shit.
The
circle
dude.
DEI
recurring
hires.
humorous mentions of him maybe having a drink or two before recording.
Oh,
Also,
Oh,
again, hyperautistic
God.
brain.
Oh,
yes.
That definitely adds to the
Unpredictability.
yeah, the unpredictable
Did someone
element
say
of
drink?
his contributions.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, so so let's move on to Mike now. He's that third member of the core group. Yeah.
Also there from the very first episode.
Yeah, Mike forms that crucial third leg of the stool.
Yeah.
Like his consistent presence along with Christian and AJ.
Yeah.
The third
Really
leg, eh?
solidified.
I'm in
Mike
that
is
stool.
the third leg.
Mike is our big,
Okay.
fast, swinging penis.
The small
Really
third leg.
solidifies the central dynamic of the show.
Right, right. And his Canadian
Yep.
background comes up. His dialect gets mentioned from time to time.
Yeah, it does.
And he moved from Canada to the mainland
He did, yeah.
sometime before the show even started.
The mainland? You mean the motherland, motherfucker?
Those details, they help to flesh out who he is.
Yeah.
And offer these little cultural nuances
Oh
that
my
can enrich the
God.
conversations,
Yeah.
Maple
yeah.
This
syrup.
whole
It adds to the
AI is
tapestry
for
of who
nuance.
they are.
with a thick goop.
What?
There's
A
a thick
thick
goop
goop.
coming from this AI. It's glazing everything in such a thick, milky substance that it's
Oh,
making
God.
it hard for me to walk through it all.
People.
For sure. For sure. And just like with Christian and AJ, he's got that
Nice.
shared gaming history, Payday 2, Insurgency, GTA
Stop.
5, Deep Rock Galactic. Like that's a real
Yeah,
that's
we
a real
totally meant to Deep
foundation
Rock
for their
Galactic.
connection.
For sure.
And
The
there's that story
glaze.
about their
Blaze is real.
early attempt.
Oh yeah. Do multiple perspectives in an insurgency video.
Right.
And it crashed. It crashed because of a recording issue.
Right.
It's a funny little snapshot of
Their
their
Funny
That
little
is
snap-
actually, that's accurate. The very first time Mike and I ever tried to record for YouTube, the very first time we tried to do multiple perspectives, mine bugged out, and so mine was audio with a completely pitch black screen, so I had to use Mike's perspective. I got that right.
early collaborative effort.
those shared experiences, even the ones that go wrong,
Yeah.
often create the strongest bonds, I think.
Right.
And they lead to the best inside jokes.
Yeah.
It builds that shared narrative,
Oh.
that sense of we've been through this together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And he participates in a lot of the segments and discussions. It seems like he's
He's a steady presence.
a really steady, reliable presence in the mix.
Yeah.
They even had a segment at one point called "Miking Up the News,"
Oh, right.
which kind of suggests
Yeah.
an area of interest or expertise, even though it didn't last.
It didn't stick around.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they dedicated a
What?
segment to
Did I?
his
What did I
interests
miss?
shows a
What expertise?
Cut it the fuck out with the soundboard, firstly. Secondly, what the fuck are they talking about this expertise?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to back it up.
That's an angry
Mike, I might actually have to
dude.
use your YouTube audio for this because I'm having to like pause it and stuff. This might be
should
an
be good.
episode where Craig is no use.
Narrative,
Oh.
that sense of we've been through this together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And he participates
Yeah.
in a lot of the segments and discussions. It seems like he's
He's a steady presence.
a really steady, reliable presence.
They like
in
using that
this.
wording.
Yeah.
They
Steady
even had a
guy.
segment at one point called "Miking Up the News,"
Oh, right.
which kind of suggests
Yeah.
an area of interest or expertise, even though
Miking up the news, AJ and Mike hated the name so much it became the Your Mom Report. So if you remember the Your Mom Report, that's what they're talking about is miking up the
don't.
news.
I don't remember that.
it didn't last.
It didn't stick around.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they dedicated a segment to his interests shows a real effort to highlight
Mike
each
was
member
never
of the
interested
trio.
in any
Yeah.
of the news
Yeah,
articles
exactly.
I gave him.
And the fact that it didn't last is just
Yeah.
it's just part of the natural evolution.
That's what you gotta know about Mike. He's really interested in being a ghostwriter for a yogurt company. There's nothing he aspires to more in life.
The show.
Totally.
You try things, some things work,
Right.
some things don't.
And he's got a Twitch channel too, Shutty Face.
Oh, right.
So just like the others, he's part of
Wait,
the
that's from when it was
Exactly.
shortened down. We
It's-
talked about it shortening it down, and then that happened because of
Shutty face.
shitty face.
I remember laughing at that, and I forgot that it was in there. I should have warned you.
noted that
Mhm.
he can be less vocal sometimes
Right.
or have difficulty
Right.
remembering past events.
Mhm.
He comes across as maybe a bit more reserved
Mhm.
than Christian or AJ.
What?
And of course we can't forget his reaction to Christian's handjob story.
Oh, right. Yes.
When they first met, like that's specifically called out as a memorable moment.
It probably took him by surprise.
It did, and it just highlights the,
We made eye
the-
contact.
Unexpected.
yeah, the unexpected, absurd
Yeah.
nature of their early interactions,
Mhm.
which continues to be part of the show's charm, I think.
Uh,
So let's switch gears again
Yeah.
and talk about Angel.
Angel.
He's a recurring guest
Mhm.
or occasional co-host
Right.
in some of the later episodes, and
Yeah, I mean his recurring presence tells us
Yeah.
that he brings something valuable,
Right.
something that the trio appreciates.
yeah,
Clearly, someone who fits in well
yeah,
with the established rhythm.
yeah. And they even note his absence in one episode.
Oh, that's right.
They say he's in a coma during episode 21, which is a pretty
When did we say he was in a coma?
I don't know, man. I
As
think
a matter
he
of
said
fact, 21 was the roast of me episode. That was the one you were there for like 5 minutes. Angel was there the whole time, so I don't know where the fuck this coma story comes from. Okay, so Christian from the future here, what they're referring to in this section of the Notebook LM thing is we talked about how Angel missed a couple episodes due to being unavailable, and he made a passing comment that he was in a coma.
pretty
The
memorable
AI is after you.
and darkly humorous.
It's after
way
Angel
of
trying to put him in a
explaining why he's
fucking
not there.
coma.
That kind of remark, while obviously not literal,
I've seen
Right.
Eagle
really
Eye.
highlights his connection to the show.
Yeah,
Like his absence is noteworthy enough
right.
to be addressed specifically, even with humor.
Totally. And he participates in segments.
He does.
It's like, can you smash that?
Wow.
He gives closing words in some episodes.
Yeah.
So he's definitely integrated when he's around.
It suggests he's more than just a random guest. He's been welcomed into their circle
Yeah.
of contributors.
Totally. And we see that he's been on Jake's browser stream.
Oh, right.
So there's this
Oh, you're a cam guy, Jake? Oh my god.
First of all,
Jake
first
and
of all, brazzers, not browsers.
Jake and
Oh my
Angel's
God.
browser stream.
But Under Piss Joe is Jake's browser stream.
No, isn't that
forgot
under
about
Piss
that.
Joe for
And
that
I
one?
said it,
Under Piss Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
and in the plugs, I said one time you can find
Oh.
Angel in Under Piss Joe's browser stream. I love how it loves to hyperfixate on things that we say one time, and it's just That's canon. That's fact. Jake and Angel do porn streams.
Pollination happening
Yeah.
within their social group.
Yeah.
Then we have Justice, who was a guest
Justice, yeah.
for that April Fool's Day special, the one without Mike.
Oh, yeah.
So being brought in for an episode like that
Right.
implies that they thought he could contribute to a unique dynamic.
I don't like the way they say they thought he could contribute. Like, we're trying to make little of Justice's ability to contribute. They thought he could do it.
But he
Justice is
couldn't.
not even here to defend himself.
Yeah.
Especially
with Mike not being there.
exactly.
And his introduction had that funny initiation bit
Oh, yeah.
with the references to
Bit.
past gags. So
Bit.
Yeah.
he clearly knew the show.
He was familiar, yeah.
Yeah, familiar with the history, the jokes.
That effort to bring him in to the established humor
Right.
really suggests a desire to
Yeah.
make him feel like part of the group.
Why did she
Even
moan?
for a
Yeah.
one-off appearance?
Right.
And it's
Hey,
because
Zach,
of
I
their
didn't-
self-awareness.
Yeah.
You know, like they're in on the joke.
Unique dynamic.
Especially
with Mike not being there.
exactly.
And his introduction had that funny initiation bit
Oh, yeah.
with the references to past gags. So
Yeah.
he clearly knew the show.
He was familiar, yeah.
Yeah, familiar with the history, the jokes.
That effort to bring him in to the established humor
Right.
really suggests a desire to
Yeah.
make him feel like part of
Did
the
you hear
group.
it?
I heard
Even
it.
for a
I
one-off
heard it
appearance.
that time.
And it speaks to their self-awareness.
Yeah.
You know, like they're in on the
One
joke.
more time.
And he
I think we
he
heard
stepped
it in the
for
back.
Mike
He did.
in various segments, so he was able to contribute.
Jump right in.
Yeah, jump right in.
Yeah.
All right, we also have Thomas, who appears in episode 28.
Thomas. Okay.
And he's apparently made more appearances than another guest named Johnny.
Oh, interesting.
So
Technically true.
he's become a recurring face.
Yeah.
That repeated invitation means he must have brought something that resonated
Right.
with them, with the hosts, and probably with the audience.
For sure.
And his
What
strong
audience?
dislike
Mhm.
for Coldplay becomes a pretty central topic
Yeah.
in that episode. And sometimes those strong, even negative opinions can be really engaging, right?
I mean,
Absolutely.
we did name the
Passionate
episode
viewpoints,
that.
even about things that seem trivial,
Yeah.
can spark discussion.
Yeah.
Create relatable moments. You know.
Yeah.
It's that passion
Why
that
do they
comes
say
through.
yeah so
and
much?
It's interesting. He's involved in the
This shit
D&D
is getting
podcast
annoying, bro.
Right. Yeah.
called the
It
Shadow
really
Chronicles.
is.
The Shadowmo Chronicles. So he's active in that world as well.
Yeah, it
Shadowmore
reinforces
Chronicles.
this idea
Yeah.
that so many of these individuals are part of a broader network
Yeah.
of content creators
Oh,
with shared interests.
Right. Right. And then
You know
finally
what,
we
Christian,
have
that's it.
Jake.
Use.
Jake.
Oh fuck
He's-
me.
Oh, here we go.
I want you to
Mentioned earlier.
post credit at a fucking counter in the top right. How many times they say yeah? This shit is ridiculous.
I'll do my best. That's a tall order for when I'm editing. But I
Kill yourself now.
All right. What did I say about the goddamn soundboard? Turn it off.
Turn it
You're
off.
not my dad. You can't tell me what to do, buddy.
seriously though, could y'all not? Okay.
I'm tired of hearing yeah after hearing these bitches say yeah 1,000 times.
It's great. It's great for the content.
It's not. It makes me want to die.
But you already want to do that on a daily basis.
That's technically
Yeah.
true. All right, we still have 4 minutes left in this first one and 3 more after. Let's move along.
As someone who provided random elements
Right.
for an AI generated story in episode 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So even these smaller like behind the scenes
Jake was the villain in that
contributions,
story.
they
Scardius
play a
Maximus.
role.
That early involvement, even though it's not a starring role,
Yeah.
shows he's been in their orbit for a while,
Right.
contributing in different ways.
Right. And then he gets his own episode.
Oh, Day in the Life of Jake.
Day in the Life of Jake, episode 16. So
Yeah.
they dedicated a whole show to him.
That definitely
The whole
suggests
show.
a certain level of
Whole show.
importance
Yeah.
within the group.
Right.
You know, they clearly see him as someone
Yeah.
the listeners would be interested in,
Right.
and someone who
Right.
who matters to their dynamic.
Totally. And his military background comes up in episode 25, which adds another dimension to him.
Right.
You know, these
Yeah.
personal details, they help to paint a more complete picture of
Yeah.
these guys.
Oh, these guys.
He has a Twitch channel too under Past Joe.
Oh, right.
Again, solidifying his connection to that world.
The connection's there.
Yeah, and his enthusiasm for Streets of Rogue 2 is highlighted in episode 35, showing
how you threatened to fuck the developer in front of his wife.
shares those
It's
core
not a
gaming
threat, it's a
interests
promise.
Exactly.
with the
I'm
with
so
the main
tired
3.
of waiting for this fucking
shared
game.
passion for gaming is like this recurring thread.
I hate playing
that
video
binds them
games.
together both on and off the air.
Totally. So when we look at the overall significance of these individuals within the Internet Bum Show,
Right.
it really does come back to that core trio, right?
Yeah, it does.
There's Christian, AJ, and Mike. Their consistent presence, the dynamics, the shared history.
Damn, they didn't really say
the
much about me.
foundation for
Fuck.
everything.
It's the bedrock.
They were
They are
afraid.
undeniably the anchors of the show. Their long-standing relationships provide that stability and the foundation that everything else is built on.
Right.
And their interactions, their chemistry is so central to the show's appeal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Christian, as we've said, is the organizer, the main voice, the one kind of
Uh-oh,
steering
here
the
comes
ship.
that glaze again.
Yeah, the driving force, and AJ's strong personality.
Yeah.
Those outrageous contributions. They're such a key part of the entertainment and the memorable moments that keep people listening. Right?
His unfiltered reactions and
Oh my God.
willingness to push the boundaries are really a crucial ingredient.
Totally. In their comedic formula, it's that unpredictable element. You never know what he's going to say.
The AI is dick riding right now.
He offers that important, steady presence.
He does.
He contributes. He shares in the camaraderie.
Right.
Provides a necessary balance, I think.
His more grounded perspective and his consistent participation provide this vital counterpoint to the more boisterous personalities, which makes for a more well-rounded and relatable dynamic.
I feel like we're in like some
and all the
private goon
recurring
sesh
guests,
right now.
like Angel, Thomas, and the one-offs like Justice.
Yeah.
They inject new energy, new perspectives, keep things fresh.
It shows the show's willingness to embrace new voices.
Right.
Dick ride.
Right. And even the
Yeah,
folks
dude,
mentioned
why the fuck? I got like a
passing,
10-second
Jake
thing.
And those
And
early
there's-
episodes, they contribute to that broader context.
That shared history.
Yeah, that shared
Boy, that
history of the
dick
group.
riding right
It adds to this feeling that
You're listening to
shared
something with
history.
a real lived-in history.
every
That's the
mention,
name
every
of the
shared
episode,
anecdote
a
just
lived-in
builds this
history.
tapestry
Yeah.
of relationships and
I'm
experiences.
about to fucking unlive myself here in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. You are currently watching and or listening to the Internet Bum Show. If you are enjoying the thorough glazing that Notebook LM is giving me and the other cast members, you should consider liking and subscribing to CMJ Entertainment. We also explore other serious topics in the Internet Bum Show, and I promise, even though I've been saying it for like the last year, more gaming content is eventually going to be on the way. It'll be here, I promise. Back to the show.
All right, this next one
Yeah.
is 12 minutes. This one is episode development. There should be next to no glazing in here.
Okay,
I don't
so
know,
today
because the
we're
way they
diving
were
in-
on your shit last video, bruh, they were riding you until the cows came home, like real shit.
Yeah.
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 into something a little different. Our listeners, they've really sent us down a rabbit hole this time.
A rabbit hole.
Yeah, but a pretty fascinating one, you know? We're tackling the first 35 episodes of the Internet Bum Show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We've got a mountain of YouTube transcripts, episodes 1 through 35, plus this summary document.
So what's the mission objective for this deep dive? What are we looking for in all this material?
Well, the listeners, they want us to map out how the show evolved, really took shape in those early days.
Makes sense. Those early stages are usually when you see the most experimentation and change.
Exactly. Like what changed? What stuck around? How did these guys, find their groove? How did they become what they are today?
It's like having a front row seat to a creative project unfolding in real time. We can track how the format, the content, even their dynamic as hosts developed over time.
Exactly. So episode 1, right, the pilot, we're introduced to Christian, AJ, and Mike.
The three amigos.
Right. And it's super informal. Like, you just walked into their living room while they're hanging out. They're talking about, Payday 2, GTA 5, Streets of Rogue, those kinds of games. They even bring up Insurgency.
All those early 2010s games, huh? Brings back memories.
It's that classic friends shooting the breeze vibe.
2017.
Totally. And even in that first episode, there's this little moment where Christian mentions a failed attempt at a multi-perspective gaming video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a throwaway comment.
Yeah.
But it hints at this early interest in different formats, different perspectives, even if the execution wasn't quite there yet.
Interesting. So maybe that idea, even though it didn't work out then, planted a seed for what came later?
Maybe, yeah. Like their later segment-based approach could be a connection there.
It's like that saying, every failure is a stepping stone to success.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Now, episode 3, shameless plugging. It's a gold mine. We get a look at their notebook dossier. It's like peeking behind the curtain at their brainstorming session. All their early ideas for segments.
Oh, so this is where we see those recurring segments starting to pop up.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to see what stuck and what didn't. Like, main program, AJ Goes Deep, AI Storytime, those are all there from the beginning.
Catastrophic wingmen too, right? And Would You Rather?
Oh, absolutely. And All's Fair in Love and Hate Mail, What Would Uzi Do? The Dumbest Fight Ever. These are all staples of the show.
They even had Can You Smash That? Early on. And of course,
Can you smash that?
Gotta have that one.
Right, and Light at the End of the Tunnel. But then there are these segments that just, vanished. Miking Up the News, for example.
Ready for Your Thoughts disappeared too, didn't it?
Yeah, and How Do We Fix This? Why Would You Want This? Then there's The Worst in Gaming and AJ the Hero.
Wow, they really went through a lot of ideas, huh?
It shows you how experimental those early episodes were. They were trying things out, seeing what worked, what didn't. It's like they were figuring out their identity as a show.
And that's how it should be, right? You got to experiment to find what clicks.
Now, speaking of experimentation, they really let loose with the April Fool's Special, episode 19.
The one without Mike. Classic sitcom title.
Right. They just went all out, completely different format. Segments like Flights of Fancy, Your Mom Report, Caption This.
It's like they were saying, okay, let's just have some fun with this.
Exactly. They weren't afraid to be silly, to break the mold a little bit.
That kind of self-awareness, even early on, it says something about their confidence as creators.
Yeah.
They're not taking themselves too seriously.
They're in on the joke, which I think a lot of listeners appreciate. And then you start to see these recurring
What the fuck do you mean we're in on the joke,
like
bro? We
Spooky
are
Month
making
in
the
October.
joke.
Fucking
stupid
Episodes
ass
10,
AI.
32, and 33 all have that spooky flavor.
Episode 10 was Omegle Man versus the E-Girl Gang.
Man.
And the later ones, they delved into conspiracies and celebrities exposed type stuff.
That's smart, right. Finding a theme that resonates with your audience and building on it each year.
It gives them a framework to work within, and the listeners have something to look forward to.
Exactly. It creates a sense of anticipation, like, oh, it's October. What kind of spooky stuff are they going to talk about this time?
But then
Squeaky
things
stuff?
take a bit of a turn. Episodes 21 and 22, those are the Mental Health Awareness Month specials. And they're noticeably different.
Oh, right. They go into some pretty serious and personal topics, right?
Yeah. They share their own experiences, offer advice. It's a significant shift from just focusing on gaming.
It shows a real awareness of their platform and its potential impact.
And maybe the deepening connection with their audience, too. Like, hey, we're not just here for laughs. We can talk about real stuff, too.
It makes you wonder what prompted that change. Was it something they'd been thinking about for a while?
Maybe. It'd be interesting to know what their thought process was there.
Yeah, to see if they hinted at it in earlier episodes or if it was a more spontaneous decision.
Now, let's talk about the hosts themselves. Right from the start, the chemistry between Christian, AJ, and Mike, it's undeniable.
Yeah, you can tell they have a history, a rapport that you can't fake.
They're constantly bouncing off each other, making inside jokes, referencing past experiences. It's like you're part of their inner circle.
That kind of authenticity is a huge asset for a show like this. It's what draws people in and keeps them coming back. It's like you're hanging out with your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah!
And as the show evolves, you see their individual
That's it.
personalities
Where's
and
my
roles becoming
gun?
more defined.
Right, like AJ Goes Deep. That segment really lets his personality shine through.
It's a platform for him to explore a topic in depth his way. And then you have episodes where one of the regular hosts is missing.
The one without Mike, that is a great example.
Right.
How many
and
times
sometimes
are they
they
gonna
bring in
reference
guest
this
They
fucking
hosts,
really
which
episode?
shakes
are.
things up a bit.
It
I'm
keeps
getting
the dynamic
glazed.
fresh and prevents things from getting
It's like,
too
damn, I'm
predictable.
gone.
Would he be
And those
anti?
recurring jokes and
Would he be anti-glazing since
No, but
it's
it's
the
like,
one
damn, he's
without
gone.
you?
He should have been there. Like every time, just he should have been there. So,
The fucking shame.
Yeah.
those are the things that really make the show feel well, like a show. It has its own inside language.
Totally. Like the way they keep saying internet bum show with that slightly ironic tone. It becomes a running gag.
Exactly. And then there are those references to past episodes, like AJ's, let's just say, memorable episode 6.
Which they keep bringing
Let's
up. It's like,
just say.
we haven't forgotten AJ.
And then you have running bits like Dolly Little.
Right. These inside jokes and references, they create this sense of community, like you're part of a shared experience.
So it's like a secret handshake for the listeners.
Exactly.
And let's not forget, it's not always smooth sailing between them, which honestly makes it even more relatable. They
Please bring up the
argue, they
episode.
disagree, they
Please bring
roast
up
each
Christian
other.
suicide.
Yeah, like in episode 13, they had this whole argument. And then in episode 14, AJ just refuses to vote on something.
Right.
Those moments of conflict, they add a layer
Wait,
of
what?
realism.
How much
It shows that
conflict?
they're not just
It's
That
talking about
conflict.
how you refuse to vote between the wanted dead or alive or the Clussy. Because you
Oh.
like a bad bitch, but you also like a bitch with red hair.
on a show. They're real people with real opinions.
You know what?
And that unpredictability, it keeps things interesting.
It definitely does. Now let's talk about the content itself. Episode 1, it's very gaming focused.
Which makes sense, right? That was their background, their shared passion.
Totally. But pretty quickly, they start branching out. By episode 3, we're seeing AI discussions, current events with miking up the news, and listener-submitted content with All's Fair in Love and Hate Mail.
It's a pretty rapid.
What listeners?
Yeah.
We are the listeners.
Oh yeah, you guys are the listeners. I don't listen to this.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm just being honest. Wait, this is
And
12
Chen.
minutes. This is 12 minutes long,
Yes.
and I feel like this shit has been going on for an hour.
Well, we got done listening to the 20-minute one. Now we're almost done with this one.
Oh, okay. So there was another video.
Aren't
Okay,
afraid
we got
to
it.
broaden their horizons.
It was a smart move. It allowed them to tap into wider interests and attract a more diverse audience.
And they definitely kept their finger on the pulse of internet culture. In episode 10, they used that rate the format that was all over the internet at the time.
And I mentioned Reddit in episode 20. Like, they're actively looking for ideas from the online community.
They're plugged in, for sure.
Staying
I know what they're talking about. They're talking about all them fucked up videos that it made to where I couldn't do Can You Smash That anymore. Because you had like dudes knocking down old women down church stairs and doing grenades at the drive-through and shit.
Wait, they threw a grenade. Oh, you're talking about when they throw the drink back at the
Yeah. And
I've
I
done that
got
a few times.
because for the longest time I garnered my "she's a 10" but from r/I'm a piece of shit. But it got to the point where the pieces of shit were so fucking just god awful that I was like, I feel sick to my stomach watching this because these are awful people. So that's why we didn't do the segment anymore.
with online trends, that's crucial for a show like this.
Absolutely. And they didn't shy away from more mature or controversial topics either.
Right. Like, they talk about porn pretty early on. And there's that disclaimer in episode 33 about sensitive content.
They even waded into discussions about figures like Kanye West, R. Kelly, and Dr. Disrespect. It's like they knew they had to address these topics, but they tried to do it carefully.
Yeah, there's this sense that they're presenting information, discussing these figures and events, but not necessarily taking sides or endorsing any particular viewpoint.
They tried to keep things neutral, especially with those hot button topics.
Which is probably a good strategy, especially in today's climate. Now, listener engagement. That seems to be a recurring theme throughout these early episodes.
Yeah, they're always trying to find ways to involve the audience. Those would you rather questions are a classic example.
And they're constantly incorporating listener-submitted content.
Catastrophic Wingmen and All's Fair in Love and Hate Mail are built entirely on that.
They even talk about future interactions with listeners. Like hypothetically starting a YouTube channel with, what was his name? Toshi.
Yeah, Toshi. Remember that guy?
It's clear they value that connection with their audience.
Remember?
It's like they're building a community together.
Swell guy
And then you
Toshi.
have those year-end retrospectives in
I hate that
episodes
motherfucker.
14 and 35.
Oh, right. The looking back on the year.
That was a joke.
episodes.
It was a gimmicky.
Exactly. They cover everything from gaming to TV to their own personal highlights. It's a chance for them to reflect on their own journey as a show.
And in episode 35, they even bring back the Can You Smash That bracket from the previous year-end special.
Where I
Little
put
bit of continuity
AJ's
there.
face
Yeah,
on it.
it's like they're establishing their own traditions.
Creating those callbacks for the listeners. It's clever.
Now, we don't have all the details about the technical side of things, but the fact that they managed to put out 35 episodes consistently suggests a certain level of, competence.
Yeah, you don't just accidentally
Competence.
release 35 episodes.
The
There's
Internet Bum
dedication
Show is
there,
competent.
and probably some
Shit,
technical
fuck her.
know-how.
Bro,
They even
bitch.
mention experimenting with intro music for segments, but then they drop that.
It shows they were willing to try new things and then, refine the show based on what worked.
Always iterating, always improving.
Right. And of course, being on YouTube, there's the visual aspect too. They talk about using on-screen pictures and even deepfakes later on.
And let's not forget those thumbnails. Gotta grab those clicks somehow.
It's all part of the game.
But
I
throughout
do
all
love
these
making my
changes,
thumbnails.
one thing remains consistent. The informal conversational tone. It
my
always feels
God,
like you're
stop
just
it.
hanging out with them, listening to their conversation.
That's their signature, isn't it? That relaxed, almost off-the-cuff vibe.
And the humor, of course. That never goes away. It can be silly, absurd, sometimes a little dark.
It's their dynamic, the way they play off each other, that really makes it funny.
They're not afraid to laugh at themselves, at each other, at the world around them.
Humor is a powerful tool, especially when it comes to connecting with an audience.
And you can see this increasing self-awareness as the show goes on. They reference past episodes, and that title in episode 25, "This episode should not exist."
Oh,
That's pretty meta.
They're winking at the audience, acknowledging the absurdity of it all. It's a sign of their growing confidence as creators.
So
My
looking back
favorite
at those first 35
episode.
episodes, the evolution of the Internet Bum Show is pretty remarkable. They started as a group of friends chatting about games, and they transformed into a show with structure, recurring segments, a wider range of topics, all while retaining that core informal and humorous vibe.
They found their voice, their style. It's a great example of how a creative project can evolve organically.
And it leaves us wondering, what did the next 35 episodes hold? What new directions did they explore? What influence did the audience have on their choices?
It's like we've seen the first act of their story, and now we're left wanting more.
And that's the beauty of it, right? The story continues.
Well, that's our deep dive into the first 35 episodes of the Internet Bump Show. Thanks for sending us down this rabbit hole, listeners. It's been a wild ride.
okay. Shut the fuck up.
Listeners.
All right, the next one is much shorter. This one is topics. This deep dives into the topics we've covered.
About to deep dive into this quesadilla that my mom made here in a second.
Hey, save me one. I'm on the way.
Okay,
No.
so we're diving.
Fuck you, then,
God.
bitch.
But it's only made one. He made one.
Well, then
We're diving into something a little different today.
cut it in half or
We've
some
got
shit.
this.
I'm
challenge
hungry,
ahead of
bro. I
us,
haven't eaten
thanks
all
to
day.
You guys,
Motherfucker. All right.
the listeners.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be
We
interesting.
want to really get a feel for the Internet Bum Show. And you've given
Internet
us quite
Bum
the spread of
Show.
material to work with.
Yeah, we've been poring over transcripts, summaries, even peeking at some of the visuals they put out. It's a real mix.
And it paints a picture, that's for sure. Not always a clear picture, mind you.
Well, it's definitely colorful.
Colorful is a good word for it. But
Your
that's
mama
kind of the
colorful.
mission here, right? To figure out what the Internet Bum Show is all about, what they talk about, how they talk about it.
Exactly. Give our listeners a sense of the landscape without getting too bogged down in the, shall we say, weeds.
Exactly. No need to recreate the entire jungle, just a good map, right?
The map to the madness, perhaps.
Maybe.
No.
Well, one thing that jumps out right
No.
away is the humor. You can't talk about the Internet Bum Show without talking about the, let's just say, the unique brand of comedy they've got going on.
Let's
Yeah,
just say.
Let's
it's
just say.
definitely there.
From the get-go, you get segments like Rate the Clussy in episode 13. And you know they're not messing
title
around.
of an episode, not
It's
a
certainly
segment.
a statement. Like, right out the gate, they're telling you what kind of ride you're in for. What do you make of that jumping straight into
It's a
such
clown.
provocative territory?
It's bold. I'll give them
Put a
that.
Clussy on
We're not
screen.
trying to ease you in gently or anything. It's more like, hey, we're going to be weird. You in.
And that weird carries through. Look at the would you rather questions they throw out in episode 19. They start off silly enough, but then they just take this nosedive into the absurd.
I do remember one of those questions. It was, would you rather roll around in broken glass naked or French kiss Donald Trump?
They're channeling a very specific internet energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The kind of humor that thrives in the darkest corners of Reddit, you know? And that's not even getting into their caption this segment.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other beast.
Episodes 19 and
Ryan's
30,
in the
for
darkest
example.
corners of Reddit.
It's not just random jokes. They're pulling from some seriously obscure, sometimes dark, often just plain strange corners of the internet, even referencing places like, well, let's just say questionable subreddits, like in episode 20. It's a choice.
It is a choice. And then you have this complete tonal shift with AJ's Flights of Fancy. Suddenly, it's not about rapid fire jokes anymore. It's these long, imaginative stories that just, I don't know, they wander off into these crazy directions.
Yeah, like that Chandler Cornelius bit in episode 19. You're just sitting there listening to this story unfold, and you're like, how did we get here? But it's strangely captivating.
Right. It's like a completely different side of their creative brains.
Like they're flexing different creative muscles. And then, of course, woven through all of this, you've got the, shall we say, the cruder side of their humor. Those can you smash that segments, for instance.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme.
It pops up in their casual banter, too. Like, it's just part of their natural language, you know? But, I mean, we have to acknowledge that that kind of humor is not for everyone.
Definitely not. It's definitely a specific taste. But to be fair, it's not the only thing they've got going on.
To be fair.
They're not just about shock value. You move away from the comedy, and you see this whole other side of the show emerge, especially when it comes to gaming and internet culture.
Oh, yeah, huge part of their identity. They're constantly referencing games, like they've got this shared history built around them.
Right. Payday 2, GTA 5, Deep Rock Galactic. Those come up a lot, especially in those early episodes, like episodes 1 and 4, I think.
Yeah, and it's not just, oh, we played this game. They've got these specific anecdotes, like that Deep Rock Galactic freezing incident. You can tell they've spent a lot of time together gaming.
Are
and it's
y'all
created
still
this
gonna talk
whole
about that
layer
shit?
of inside jokes that their audience probably really connects with.
Like
Never
a shared
forget.
language,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fuck
And it
yeah.
extends beyond just playing the games. They talk about the whole ecosystem of internet culture.
YouTube content creation, their own foray into streaming, which they discuss in episode 32. Even how they get ideas from places like Reddit, which we saw in episode 20. It's like they're really plugged into that world, not just consuming it, but actively thinking about how it all works.
And they're not afraid to engage with specific trends. That Nostalgia Core episode, episode 15, is a good example of that.
Yeah, they're definitely tapped into the pulse of the internet. But then things get really interesting when they start venturing into more, well, let's call them serious topics.
Yeah, it's not all just jokes and games, is it?
No, not at all. Education, for example, is something they seem to care about a lot. Especially AJ. He's got some strong opinions on the state of education these days. He talks in episode 18 about how he thinks modern education is dumbing down our children.
Yeah, that's a pretty
The
loaded
black guy
statement.
says it.
It makes you wonder what specific aspects of education he's taking issue with and what kind of changes he'd like to see.
Right. It gives you a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. You get a sense of their worldview and their values. And then you have the whole free speech debate, which they touch on in episode
Free
10.
speech.
And that's a tricky one, especially in the online world.
It is. What's interesting is that they seem to be aware of the potential pitfalls. They talk about how being a relatively small channel gives them a bit of leeway, but they still tread carefully. The way they briefly mention 9/11 conspiracy theories in that episode, for example, it's like they're dipping their toes into controversial waters without going too deep.
It's like they're acknowledging the power of words and the responsibility that comes with having a platform, even if it's a relatively small one.
Exactly. They're not just throwing out wild opinions without considering the consequences. And then, of course, you have those mental health specials, episodes 21 and 22. Those are really powerful episodes.
Yeah, those are the ones that really stuck with me.
Speaking of, the next 2 episodes being recorded will be this year's mental health specials. I think that's a nice little coincidence.
Boo!
There's a
I'm gonna
level
ruin
of
everyone's mental health on those
vulnerability there that you don't
episodes.
see in the rest of their content. Especially in episode 22,
On purpose.
when they talk about their own struggles,
On
you really
purpose.
get a sense of their humanity.
And that advice they give, to seek help, to talk to someone, it's really important. It shows that they're taking the issue seriously, not just using it for content.
Right. They're using their platform to spread a positive message, which is something you don't always see with internet humor.
It's refreshing, actually.
Yeah.
And even though it might not be a central theme, they do touch on other social issues from time to time, sometimes through humor, sometimes more directly.
Yeah, like those discussions around HR and getting fired from a job in episode 5. Or just their general opinion
HR got fired for showing up to work on Halloween as blackface.
on societal trends, which pop up in various episodes.
Funny story
like in
about
episode
that.
21.
But
It shows that they're not living
What is it?
I'll tell you off camera. Can't talk on camera.
a bubble. They're paying attention to what's going on in the world around them.
And they're not afraid to express their opinions, even if they're not always popular, which is another interesting aspect of the show, this constant back and forth between serious and silly. One minute they're making crude jokes, and the next they're having a heartfelt conversation about mental health.
It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure. And it probably reflects who they are as people, right? Like, nobody is just one thing. We all have different sides to us.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the Internet Bum Show so compelling. It's this weird, unpredictable mix of personalities and perspectives. And they don't always agree with each other either. You see that come out in some of their more casual conversations.
Oh, absolutely. Like their music tastes, for example, which they debate in episode 28. Or even just what video games they like, which comes up in episode 35. It's like you're eavesdropping on a real conversation between friends with all its disagreements and quirks.
And that's valuable, I think, because it reflects how real conversations work.
Right?
Nobody agrees on everything. And seeing those different perspectives play out, even in a lighthearted context, it can encourage people to be more open-minded, more willing to consider different viewpoints.
So to wrap it all up, what we've really been doing here is mapping out the strange and wonderful world of the Internet Bum Show. It's a wild ride, that's for sure.
You never quite know what you're going to get. It could be brain-melting humor one minute, a thoughtful discussion about education the next. It's all over the map, but that's part of the appeal.
And hopefully after listening to this, you've got a better sense of what they're all about and maybe even found some specific episodes or themes that you want to explore further. We've given you the map. Now it's up to you to choose your own adventure.
Exactly. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Now, I'm left wondering, with all this variety, all these contrasting tones, what does it say about internet culture as a whole? Are these kinds of shows the future of entertainment? Or are they just a fleeting moment in the ever-changing landscape of the digital world?
It's something to think about, isn't it? The lines are blurring, that's for sure.
They definitely are. But hey, that's the internet for you. Always keeping us guessing.
Okay, so welcome to...
So this is the one that I have not listened to. This is
The story of a girl.
this is the story of somebody. This is if you were to take all 35 episodes and try to spin it into a linear narrative. I don't know if it even does that. We're going to find out.
How
After
much
that,
more do we
we'll
got, Council?
About 16 minutes, and then we got the light in at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, because I do have to head in like the 20 minutes at latest.
Okay.
So
Word.
The
We're
deep
gonna take a
dive. And today,
break or
we're actually going to try
intermission?
something
No,
a little bit
we're
different, a
gonna
little bit of a
speed on through.
storytelling journey, if you will. You provided us with a really interesting collection of YouTube transcripts and also this show dossier outlining the first 35 episodes of the Internet Bum Show. And what we want to do is kind of like trace the story that unfolds across these episodes, almost as if we're watching like a single evolving narrative, a story that's changing. It's got recurring characters, surprising plot twists, all that good stuff. So our mission here is to unpack that arc, see how the show and the personalities involved developed over time. You know, from those initial, shall we say, unpredictable moments right up to the more recent content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we've got the raw transcripts, which give us like the direct conversations, and then this dossier that really provides some structural context. So everything we're going to be talking about today comes straight from the source material. It's going to allow us to really like see how this show kind of organically grew, how it found its voice, and how it built its own very unique and often hilarious saga for its listeners.
So let's press rewind all the way back to the very first chapter, episode number 1. You know, when you
The
look at
Phantom
it,
Menace.
it doesn't seem like it was a highly orchestrated beginning, was it?
Not at all. The transcript really reveals a rather spontaneous launch. I mean, only 3 of the intended 5 hosts, we've got Christian, AJ, and Mike, actually make it for the recording.
Oh, wow.
And even in the opening seconds,
Oh, wow.
you get a taste of the potential for chaos. You know, it's like right off the bat, AJ comes in with his now iconic line. AJ's pissed about it, so that's it. Show's canceled. Pretty clear signal of the unpredictable ride ahead. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely,
That
absolutely.
was the cold
Right on the
opening
bat,
for
it
that
throws us into the
episode.
core trio. We
Wait,
get some
what was?
early
Oh
backstory.
God, I don't
We learn
remember.
that Mike had recently moved from Canada to the mainland, and they start
The
reminiscing about how they all know each other. But the story about how Christian and Mike became friends is particularly, well, unusual.
Yeah, what's fascinating is that it starts with Payday 2,
Yeah,
which for those who don't know, it's a cooperative heist shooter game.
right.
And then it takes this bizarre turn involving a stranger with some, well, very specific requests online. Someone who needed a particular type of encouragement to successfully complete a shadow raid in the game. It's a very strange anecdote, but it really gives you a sense of the personalities involved right from the get-go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really sets the stage. And we get some early glimpses into their like
Yes,
gaming
for
styles and the
handjobs.
group dynamic as well. They mentioned playing GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto V with characters named Uzi and Nicole, and Streets of Rogue, where apparently AJ just consistently like eliminates everyone in the game.
Yeah, totally. And it hints at like some established roles within their gaming sessions.
Yeah.
You know, something that likely carries over into the show. Then there's this amusing technical hiccup they talk about. It's their initial attempt to have multiple viewpoints in a video for Insurgency, which is a tactical first-person shooter that completely falls apart because Christian's recording messed up.
Oh
They were
no.
forced to just use Mike's footage.
Yeah.
It's just a
What the
small
fuck?
behind-the-scenes
Is she
detail,
eating
but
something?
it illustrates the kind of challenges they faced early on and their ability to adapt, improvise.
Yeah.
It's the AI cop.
Probably
man.
shaped the early feel of the show.
For sure.
Hey
And
man,
then we get
share
to
your
the
videos so I can
legendary
watch you
dumbest
eat
video game
that
fail
fucking
question.
chicken and
This
waffles.
is where they tell the Deep Rock Galactic story with AJ and
You
the
wanna see
frozen
me
crack
eat my fucking
detonator.
chicken and
No,
waffles,
Deep Rock
you
Galactic,
freak.
if you're not
Hey, it's actually more common than you think.
familiar, is this cooperative mining and shooting game. And just the strong reactions, the immediate regret,
Go ahead,
it's
look
a
at this beautiful
perfect
face, eat
early
this food.
illustration of that cringe humor and the kind of unexpected moments that, as awkward as they are, seem to really resonate with their audience.
It becomes one of those like shared moments of embarrassment that actually strengthens the connection with their listeners.
Totally, totally. And then they wrap up the episode with this lighthearted RPG, kind of like D&D class question, and you get some early insight into their core values. AJ's response about not being a piece of gat really stands out, very unfiltered, very to the point. It kind of just tells you right then and there about his no-nonsense attitude.
Right, and that's just episode 1. I mean, it sets the stage for what's to come.
Oh, yeah.
So much unfolds from here.
Okay, so that's the genesis of our story, right?
Yeah.
The origin. So we move into the next few chapters, episodes 2 through 9. What kind of narrative threads start to emerge?
Well, in these early episodes, you can see them starting to find their rhythm, experimenting with content. Episode 2, Plan C, is a great example. It jumps between their contrasting views on porn, anxieties about getting older,
Oh, interesting.
and then a classic debate about useless
favorite.
superpowers. In this case, it was the ability to become invisible for just 10 seconds.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, right. It really showcases the range of topics they're willing to cover in a single episode.
And this is also where we see the first hints of AI-generated content, right? Like the Hulk Hogan versus Thanos Pokemon battle and the Spider-Man versus Maximus story that was actually
I'm gonna
based on
fucking
prompts
lose
from
it.
their listeners.
Exactly. It's a sign of their willingness to embrace new tech and involve their audience in the creative process.
I love it. I love it. So by episode 3, shameless plugging, the show starts to take on a more recognizable structure. They introduce recurring segments like AJ Goes Deep and Catastrophic Wingmen. But some of the initial segment ideas don't last, like miking up the news or ready for your thoughts. Seems like there was a period of trial and error where they're figuring out what formats really worked. What do you think?
Absolutely. They're still finding their groove. But then Catastrophic Wingman from episode 4 is such a great example of the show's tonal flexibility. You have this incredibly ridiculous advice being given alongside Mike's surprisingly thoughtful and genuine response to a question about relationships. It keeps things interesting, It prevents the show from becoming one-dimensional. And then we have episode 5, You're Fired.
Okay.
Introducing those hilarious job firing scenarios.
Yeah.
It's where AJ's responses often lean into those outrageous stereotypes, which creates a funny contrast with Christian's attempts to maintain some logic.
Yeah.
It's because
It's
I'm
a
black.
segment that really plays on their contrasting comedic styles. And then AJ's unpredictable nature really shines through in episode 7, Flight Captain
is really
AJ,
good.
with that completely nonsensical scheme to launder money
Yeah,
using a
it's
car
'cause I'm
wash
black.
and basketball games. It's like out of left field, but it keeps the narrative fresh and engaging.
And let's not
I remember
forget,
that shit.
the Would You Rather segment in that same episode involves Deep Rock Galactic again, but this time with Mike and a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
You can really see that gaming camaraderie shining through.
Right. It almost becomes like a running gag at this point.
Yep.
Exactly. These recurring segments become familiar landmarks in their ongoing story, and they really allow the hosts' personalities to come forward. You see this even in episode 8, Oh, What a Life, where they're just raiding factions from the Fallout universe. Even in that, you see their different levels of knowledge. AJ's unique, somewhat arbitrary scoring system is hilarious.
Right,
What?
right. And then there's that light at
Arbitrary.
the end of the tunnel segment in that same episode. It features this woman's super positive reaction to turning 100 years old. It's these little moments of heart that offer a nice contrast to the more chaotic humor. So as our story progresses, we hit episodes 10 through 19, Spooky Month, and beyond. Do we see any shifts in the narrative or how the hosts interact with each other in the content? Oh, absolutely. Episode 10, Omegle Man
He just
versus
answered
the E-Girl
himself.
Gang marks a big change. They introduce the She's a 10-butt segment, which quickly becomes a platform for their very subjective, often humorous, and sometimes eyebrow-raising criteria for attraction. It's also here that they briefly touch upon some conspiracy theories like discussions around 9/11, but they seem to consciously avoid diving too deep into political territory. Like they wanted to keep the tone light and focused on personal opinions and humor.
I see. And then the title of episode 13, Rate the Clussy, certainly pushes boundaries, for better or worse.
It definitely signals a commitment to irreverence, a willingness to engage with potentially controversial subjects. We see this again in episode 14's End of the Year Special 2023 with those increasingly bizarre pairings in the Can You Smash That segment. AJ's reactions are priceless.
Oh, yeah. And we also get more of Christian's personality with his passionate venting about the remote mortar in Battlefield 2042.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic Christian moment.
Tangent
Dude.
to
Some
come
of his
up in that
ongoing
episode.
frustrations that their listeners probably come to expect and enjoy. And the AI-generated content takes a dark turn in El Avegay. Episode 15, Nostalgia Core.
Ew.
With that shocking scenario of Hulk killing Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Talk about a twist.
Yeah.
It highlights how AI can generate these unexpected and sometimes disturbing narratives, adds another layer of unpredictability to the show. Episode 17, SCP, gives us some meta-commentary. The hosts discuss what they consider the best and worst episodes of the Internet Bum Show so far. They even admit that the stupid accent challenge was a low point. They venture into some bizarre corners of the internet too, like they're looking at incel comments on cam girl posts and comparing them to posts about male virginity. It's a stark look at online discourse.
It definitely sounds like they're not shying away from the darker side of things.
Not at all. And then episode 18, Take That,
Yeah.
brings in a more serious discussion, this time about modern education, sparked by some old social media posts. And AJ's perspective on the subject is, well, characteristically blunt.
Right.
Well, fuck you,
Even
then,
when
punk.
tackling a heavier topic, their personalities shine through. And then we have
Bitch.
episode 19, the one without
Seriously,
Mike, their
blunt.
April Fool's Day special. Justice steps in as guest host. The tone becomes much sillier. We're introduced to the tasty cake cult tenants and Justice's initiation. And then, of course, there's the Would You Rather segment.
I
But
don't
maybe
like
the
that
highlight
shit.
is that extended Flights of Fancy segment.
We know
Captain
that already.
AJ's increasingly outlandish and violent train journey. It showcases the chaotic, dark humor that the segment becomes known for.
It's pure AJ unleashed. And speaking of AJ, episode 20, Drive Through AJ, sees a
Oh my God.
significant shift. They decided to shelve the Can You Smash That segment because of the disturbing content they were finding on Reddit.
Wow.
Instead, they react to posts from the
Wow.
subreddit, I Am a Piece of A. It suggests a move away from overtly sexualized content. There's
What?
also this great discussion about rating a 10 with no negative traits, and AJ disagrees with the idea of someone being perfect. He finds
Goddamn
flaws
right.
way more interesting.
Yeah. And then episodes 21 and 22, The Roast of Christian Perkins and Vulnerable, stand out because they were released during Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a noticeable shift toward a more personal, reflective part of their narrative.
Right, we see a more vulnerable side to them. In The Roast of Christian Perkins, Christian shares embarrassing old social media posts to be made fun of. It shows he's willing to be self-deprecating. And then in Vulnerable, they have a genuine conversation about mental health struggles. They talk about the importance of getting help, practicing self-care, Angel, another recurring guest, shared his raw, honest experiences with depression.
This shit's
It adds a
raw.
deeper dimension to their on-air
It's
persona.
raw.
It
It's raw,
humanizes
boy.
them
Like
in a
it
way that you don't always see
raw.
with online
Ooh,
personalities.
baby, I
And then
like it
episode 25,
raw.
this episode should not exist, introduces some real-world tension.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There's
there it
military
is,
anecdotes
Jake.
from Jake and Angel, and then that difficult
Huh?
moment where Christian uses a racial slur. The
What?
transcripts show an awkward.
What?
Whoa.
When did you do
What
that?
was I in for this
Baby.
episode?
What episode is this? I need to go back and,
And then
rewatch
episode
Yeah,
my.
25,
we need
this
to- we
episode
need to
should
hear
not
this.
exist, introduces some real-world tension.
Oh, yeah, that one.
There's military anecdotes from Jake and Angel, and then that difficult moment where Christian uses a racial slur. The trans.
No, it doesn't want to go back.
Like, we see a more vulnerable side.
No, it's
Mm.
going to
In the
go
roast-
back. What was the slur?
Hang on, if y'all will shut up.
Christian Perkins. Christian shares embarrassing old social media posts to be made fun of.
Okay, I think I might
It
went
shows
too
he's
far. But
willing
we're
to
just
be
gonna let it ride.
self-deprecating. And then invulnerable, they have a genuine conversation about mental health struggles. They talk about the importance of getting help, practicing self-care. Angel, another recurring guest, shared his raw, honest experiences with depression. It adds a deeper dimension to their on-air personas.
It humanizes them in a way that you don't always see with online personalities. And then episode 25, this episode should not exist, introduces some real-world tension.
Oh, yeah, that one.
There's military anecdotes from Jake and Angel, and then that difficult moment where Christian uses a racial slur. The transcripts show an awkward, tense discussion and the host's awareness of the potential fallout. It's a pivotal moment in their story.
Absolutely. It's where the show's boundaries are tested and the consequences of their unfiltered humor become clear. Episode 26, We're Back, which follows this, has a much lighter tone. They discuss their intro music, have a Megan Thee Stallion versus Eminem rap battle poll. It feels like a deliberate attempt to move past the controversy. Episode 28,
That
The
was a
Study
Twitter
of Why
poll, not
Thomas
our
Hates
poll.
Coldplay, introduces another recurring guest,
course.
Thomas, and dives into his hatred for Coldplay. It showcases their willingness to
We
explore
both did.
niche
We
opinions.
both did. We
They
both
even touch on
agreed
the issue of
Coldplay
separating
sucks.
the artist from the
Yeah.
art, referencing controversial figures like Kanye West and R. Kelly.
It's interesting how these recurring guests integrate into the narrative, bringing new perspectives. It adds layers to the show's cast of characters. So as
Like
we
an
approach
onion.
the end of our story, episodes 30 through 35, what are some of the key developments as the show keeps evolving?
Well, in episode 30, AI makes a better partner than Christian. The caption this picture segment gets more prominent, and they involve the listeners more, building a sense of community.
I like it. I like it.
Episode 32, Jake's hit piece, which lands during Spooky Month 2024, is more performance-driven. Jake adopts the personas of Neon the Streamer and even references Sam Hyde, a controversial figure in online comedy. They discuss
You
the
adopt the
realities of being
personalities?
content creators, the struggles of YouTube monetization. They even talk about how they'd respond to false accusations, highlighting how tricky online fame can be.
It's real, right? Like, that's something a lot of content creators have to grapple with these days. And then we have episode 33, fartsound.wave, which is described as a meta episode.
Yeah, it's like they're looking in the mirror.
Exactly. They're directly discussing the show's format, the cold open, and the dynamic of the core trio. Plus, more conspiracy theories, this time about the Denver airport and SpongeBob SquarePants.
It shows they're comfortable acknowledging their tropes and what the audience expects. And episode 34, Need Receipts Immediately, is another fan-focused meta episode.
Okay, what did they do?
They
That
have
was
a quiz,
Q's debut.
testing knowledge of past moments, celebrating inside jokes. They even revealed that Captain AJ's train conductor role in the April Fool's Sleights of Fancy was recurring. It's all about engaging with their loyal listeners.
That's awesome. And finally, episode 35, End of the Year Special 2024. It feels like a personal recap with the hosts sharing their top picks for music, TV shows, video games. We hear about AJ's ongoing frustration with Armored Core 6 and his excitement for Streets of
I
Rage
remember
2.
that
It's a
shit.
nice callback
Bruh,
to earlier.
fuck
games.
that game.
Right,
We
and
had
then
to
there's the
mute you
deep fake.
because you
Can
kept
you
being like,
listen to
God
that?
damn
Tournament,
it.
where all the
Yep.
prompts are AJ's face.
Oh, no.
It's a very committed and somewhat disturbing bit orchestrated by Christian. And
In my
finally, they
defense,
used a censored version of a
That
song for their
fucking
outro.
games. Yeah, fuck that game.
Fuck that
Good
game.
game.
For their
I
outro,
like that game.
showing their navigating creative choices.
It's
and
a good
platform
game,
guidelines.
but fuck
So,
that
looking
level,
back at
dude.
the whole journey,
Shit.
from that chaotic start in episode 1 to the end of episode 35, what story emerges for you?
It truly feels like a single continuous narrative. You see the initial unstructured episodes evolve into structured segments. The hosts' personalities become more defined, and they play off each other in surprising ways. They're always experimenting with content, from gaming banter to AI stories to those more serious discussions. There are running jokes, inside references, and shifts in tone that reflect their growth and the changing landscape of online content. It's a great example of how a show finds its identity over time.
Yeah, it feels like we've experienced a speed run of their story. We get a strong sense of Christian's chaotic energy, AJ's unpredictable, often dark humor, Mike's more grounded reactions, and all the recurring guests who add to the mix.
Exactly. All those seemingly random moments, themes, and dynamics come together to make the Internet Bum Show what it is.
So, for our listeners out there, I want you to think about how your favorite podcasts or online content have changed over time. What are the key moments, the running jokes, the shifts in tone, the personalities that define their story for you? And what about those cringy moments or inside jokes that somehow make you feel closer to the creators?
It's often in those raw, unplanned moments, much like what we see in the Internet Bum Show, that the most compelling stories are told.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
The cutoff. All right, we are done with SyncTube. Y'all can close that. I know Mike's got to go, so we're going to go ahead and move into the light at the end of the tunnel, which is coming at you here.
Who's coming?
Here.
You.
It's in booth 1 now. It won't fucking post. There we go. It is a picture of a YouTube comment. This person says, I'm 52 years of age, mostly spend my time listening to Led Zeppelin and working on my bike, but boy howdy do I love some Garfield from time to time. Good feller.
Man needs to get off the internet before he gets corrupted.
It sounds like
He's too
he's
pure.
trying to fuck Garfield.
He does. Actually, you're right.
Good feller.
That's what that sounds like. Trying to put the moves on a cat.
Yeah.
A cartoon cat of all.
I'm trying to go deep inside Garfield.
Garfield, you fat cat. Bring that ass over here.
Nice and warm and tight. Just the way I like
I'll give you some lasagna. Oh, God. All right.
Eating the
I'll throw
lasagna,
up.
the guy sneaks up behind it. Just womp.
It's time for the outro. AJ, give me the first or most random thing on your mind, sir.
Fuck Armor Core 6.
I knew it. I knew it. It was gonna be
hate
that.
That fucking, it's that level. The game's good. It's just that level. It's that fucking, you have a choice. You either fight 2 AC at once, which are completely overpowered, or you last 5 fucking rounds with everything being thrown at you at one time that has a boss. I'm still stuck there. Fuck that goddamn game, dude. It's so much
after
fun.
this long?
After this long. That's how difficult that fucking
God
game
damn,
is,
bro.
dude.
I have my word.
For playing my level.
All I have to say is skill issue. That's my word.
Yeah, that's all the skill issue.
Listen,
All
you
right.
maple syrup drinking bastard.
Didn't you guys play like against each other right after that
Yeah.
to give him a break from it? And he beat you?
I beat his ass.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
The
whole
No.
I
time.
was about to be like,
I
yeah.
beat you too, dude. Chill.
You didn't beat
I
me
did.
once. I saw the footage.
Because you kept using those big ass rockets. You literally
swapped
had
every
nothing
build I
but
had.
rockets.
Okay. Let's wrap this up. Mike,
Yeah.
give me the first or most random thing.
Well, that
on
was
your
it. That was
mind.
skill issue.
Oh, that's your
Canadian.
closing words. A skill issue.
mhm.
Jake, give me the first or most random thing on your mind.
Oh, Jesus. Quinzel.
Wow.
Okay. And on that note, Quinzel, give us the first or most random thing on your mind.
Well, Kaiba, you have activated my trap card.
Kick him out
Zombie
now.
world.
Kick him out now. I summon Pot of Greed.
Wow. You
And that's
kicked
what Pot of
him out.
Greed does, Q. Oh.
And I ate.
I have to censor that, but that's great.
You gotta censor what he said and then what he said after. Holy shit. That's wild. I didn't know that we had Kanye West in this fucking call.
All hail Kanye West.
Listeners at home, that will tell
No.
you everything you need to know about what
Not
you just said.
Not only are you the Black Hokage, but you're also the fucking chubby Kanye.
Oh wow.
Let's believe.
Actually, give me 1 second. Hold on.
All right, while he
I
goes
literally
and
gotta
looks
even
for
go
that, while he looks for that, let's wrap this up. You can find AJ, twitch.tv/Alfred Solidus. You can find Mike, twitch.tv/shut_yo_face. You can find Jake, twitch.tv/underpassjoe. That's underpassjoh. There's a picture on screen of what he just posted in the Discord.
That's what Q reminds me of.
Q, I need you
Dracula
to plug.
Dracula don't suck, he licks.
He scratched, then
lick.
Q, I need you to plug yourself, sir, because I, for the life of me, cannot remember what your plug is.
Oh, you want to know my plug?
Your Twitch plug.
Twitch.tv, Pyro Wolf with a U, 843.
That's right. He can't beat the allegations. He's joining them. Thank you for watching and or listening to the Internet Bum Show. Thank you to Q for joining us this episode. Like and subscribe for more content. Gaming videos on the way. More episodes of this. Mental health specials next month. Thank you and good night.
I love how my internet died at the end of that.
CAMJ Entertainment.